Well, it looks like the warp is leaking in here. Oh, our Vox Skull has joined us now.
A new challenge for me?
The navigator section is directly along the passageway. I pray to the God Emperor that we are not too late.
We did hear the rogue trader mention Adira, so we have apparently found one of her advisors. Formation is something we should think about, but at the moment we've got Abelard up front and ourselves in the back, which is what we want. But as we get more people, we'll want to consider how we are positioned. Let's talk to Adira.
And so, he will enter the halls of the blinded guide and witness the radiance of the final dawn through the cracks and fall victim to a whim of fate.
She's clearly a psyker. She's got a force staff, or psychic staff, whatever they call it. And then that seemed to be a psychic shriek, or whatever. Some sort of ability like that. The woman before you whips around and gazes straight at you, her eyes glowing with otherworldly light. The halls of the blinded guide. Trying to figure out what she's referring to. Witness the radiance of the final dawn? I don't know.
Master, watch your head. Adira, would it be too much to ask that you phrase your soothsayings plainly for once? That was too close.
Abelard grumbles as he dusts himself off and grips his weapon again. Apparently he's used to it because he understood what she meant. Or he saw the pipes coming down. Yeah.
Sorry, old man. The voices are so loud I can't even hear myself. They shriek, they sing, they... Oh, Abelard, how they sing!
The woman bursts into guttural drunken laughter. Yeah, you seem to not be handling the warp very well.
This is Adira Tlas, personal psyker and diviner of Her Ladyship Theodora von Valencius. Adira?
Abelard looks her up and down. We heard Theodora refer to Adira and Talas, so apparently it's a single individual. Adira Talas. Personal psyker and diviner, so she must be mainly focused on divination. But I don't think her attack was a divination attack. So I'm thinking it's telekinesis. So maybe she has both psyker disciplines?
I'm not drunk, old man. I'm suffering the effects of the warp that is seeping through these walls. I see the ship's fate. To die in the waves of the Imperium, fall under the burning rays of the final dawn. And in the roaring blaze, I see a figure standing. Who is it? I have no answer.
Just noticed that the walls are bleeding. Again, more manifestations of the warp. That's not blood splashed by combat. That's just blood due to the warp. The entity in your consciousness shrinks and crawls in deeper, its claws scraping against the walls of your mind, as if the presence is trying to hide from the seer standing before you. A diviner, are you? Or what are you doing here? You're a diviner?
The voices from beyond the threshold whisper to me. Sometimes their murmurs are clear, they grant insight. Sometimes they drive me mad. But I am patient. I know how to listen and discern. But now, with this clamor around me, too many voices, too loud.
Adira nods and her gaze is directed somewhere away from you. Yeah, she's definitely not handling the warp very well at the moment. But if she's intentionally trying to listen to the warp for divination, that probably doesn't help.
And you, Von Valencius, are a sorcerer too, just like the other one. Lady Theodora must have grown so fond of psykers she wants one to replace her.
Ah, I like that they reference it, the fact that we are a psyker, and that also the other heir was also a psyker. Adira turns her head to you, her vacant eyes flaring like embers.
Officers frequency. To all who can hear me, those with a weapon in their hands are to gather on the officers' deck at once. I repeat, gather on the officers' deck at once and prepare to launch a counterattack.
You hear a few clicks from the relay of the servo skull, which has followed you all the way here, and Theodore's scrambled words give way to a voice vaguely familiar to you. I didn't recognize that voice.
That's Edelthrat.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Emperor's Providence. The other heir lives as well. Quickly, we must head to...
Not so fast, old man. If we drown in the warp, Lady Theodora's heirs won't be any good to us. If Edelthrat's like me and hasn't yet surrendered his mind or body to the mercy of the warp, then he can still hold on a little longer without us.
Yeah. With the warp bleeding through here, we've got to deal with the navigator first. Edelthrad's gonna have to be on his own for at least a little bit.
Blast it. You're right. First, we need to deal with what is happening here.
Abelard spits out a florid curse. How do you know who I am? What are you doing here? How do you know who I am?
What? You think Lady Theodora didn't ask me to peek into the darkness behind the backs of those she sees as her prospective heirs? I have seen you. I have seen the footsteps of your past and the wounds of your heart.
Adira laughs in a deep voice. Wounds of our heart. I'm curious what that's referencing. She's seen our past, that's fine, but what specific wounds of our heart has she seen? The seer's words dredge up something dark and frightening from the depths of your memory. Your soul has been tainted by the influences of warp sorcery, and it seems you will never be rid of it. You survived a brush with a warp phenomenon sometime in your distant past, so that's talking about the decision we made at character creation of our, not triumph, that's the good one, I forget what they called it, our negative past event. What are you doing here?
The whispers called me. The ones I could make out among all the screams and screeches. Those who are rocking this boat hit us where it hurt. They went after the navigator, our guide through the warp. Other whispers called me to the engineering, but it was too late. I heard the cry of our master cog, and the silence that followed.
They've done a good job of casting this voice actress. She is definitely playing the crazy, drunk on the warp psyker quite well. But I guess our lead engine seer, Master Cog, is dead. That's what she's referencing. But currently, it seems the navigator is hurt, in trouble, something, but not yet gone to the warp.
What? You don't mean the Engine Seer Prime is...
Yeah, she means the engine seer prime is dead.
Dead.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. And the voices wail, heralding countless nightmares, cackling at each soul among the hundreds that are now joining the warp. The shriek from the navigator's sanctum was louder than the rest. And it's better that we saved the navigator than some lever puller from a cooling module or a cook from the middle decks.
Yep. There are a few very important members on the ship. The Engine Seer Prime, very important, but he's already dead. Navigator is also very important. Certainly more important than a cook from the middle decks, yes. So we gotta make sure the Navigator as well. Navigator and Helmsman, as they've stated. Otherwise, we are lost in the warp.
Oh no. No, 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 no. Nothing is well about him. Can't you feel the chill crawling on your skin? The eyes watching you? The warp ice has already encased the bulkheads. What follows is calamity.
forgot to read out loud. We must see if the navigator is well. And the answer is no, he is very much not well. You can tell by all the warp nonsense going on, warp ice on the bulkheads, etc. It's not good.
But we're not just going to stand here and take it, are we? The state of things in here suggests there's a navigator around. Maybe one who's crippled or at death's door, but still kicking. And since our skin hasn't peeled off our faces just yet, his third eye must be closed. At worst, it's a little roughed up. So what are we moping around for? Let's go protect that noble mutant while we're still alive.
Adira freezes, then she slaps her cheeks and rubs her face and looks at you. The supernatural glow is gone from her eyes and a smirk spreads across her lips. Huh. It's interesting that she's describing all of this as a good thing because it means the navigator is still not quite dead. So good. Alright, so Adira has joined our party. What is your story, Adira? That's inventory. Character, that's what I want. So you are... Let's see. Archetype. You are an operative. So operatives are what I call a rogue in character creation. The precision strike, heavy hit to a single enemy kind of focus. Also a psyker, obviously. Psychic Shriek, yes, so that's what she used before, which is a telekinesis power, I would have thought. She has forewarning, which is divination. Yeah, divination and telepathy. So she somehow has both. And she's an unsanctioned psyker. So her psi rating is 1 higher, but she also is more likely to trigger perils of the warp. Interesting. Well, that's good to know. Her willpower is all the way up to 60 as well. Not fair. I got mine as high as I could and it was only 50. Alright, let's check this out. Piece of pipe left a noticeable dent in the floor. Well, it would have been a problem if that hit us. I assume this door is where we're supposed to go. So we should check the other routes first. Usually the best course of action. The door does not budge. Clots of viscous flesh have entangled the metal, sealing the door shut. Gross. Alright, then let's go into this door and hope this is where our noble mutant is. Hurry, destroy this field. Don't keep our master waiting. Let's head in. I wonder if there's some way we can initiate combat first. Like, before combat starts, get a shot off. So obviously we can trigger it this way. Abelard, you go up front. Not Ignatius. Ignatius, you stand behind cover. Same with Dira. Abelard, you go up front. Probably take out the psyker. Because he scares me more than the various other people. Possibly pull back so that he can charge. That's my thought. Yeah.
Here we go.
Oh, well. That killed that plan. Alright, Adira is a psyker and an operative. As an operative, she can study opponents and identify their weaknesses, and her psyker abilities allow her to deal damage to them. Analyze enemies is an operative ability which applies the exploit effect to all enemies within the operative's line of sight at the start of each operative's turn. The operative can also use this ability against a specific enemy to inflict several stacks of this effect. The higher the operative's intelligence bonuses, the more exploit stacks will be inflicted. Whenever the operative hits a target with an exploit applied to them, the attack deals additional damage. The amount of extra damage depends on the target's number of exploit stacks and the operative's perception. Expose weakness is an operative's ability, which they can use against a single enemy who is under the exploit effect. This ability reduces the enemy's dodge, parry, and armor. The amount of reduction depends on the number of active exploits on the enemy and the operative's perception. It reduces their dodge, parry, and armor, which I assume means that all of us get that benefit. It's not just reducing it against the operative. I'm hoping. Adira is armed with a special staff that allows a psyker to unleash psychic powers against enemies. In the future, you will encounter staves that only a psyker versed in a certain discipline can use. For example, you might find a staff that lets the psyker use Inferno, but to do so, they must first have the pyromancy psychic discipline learned. Okay, so she has some sort of like generic staff. Sure. So, for warning, Psyker increases the target's dodge and parry by 10% until the end of combat. Uses NAP. Psychic Shriek is an attack that deals 7 to 16 damage. Analyze enemies. The operative targets one enemy within line of sight. That target immediately gains 2 exploits. And then exploits were... The operative hits a target with an exploit stack. The attack deals plus 5 times perception bonus % more damage. The damage is also increased by 10% for each exploit on the target. The attack removes all exploits from the target. Oh, the warp is... Veil degradation's in a bad spot right now. Okay, so it does move from this side over, it seems. It's currently halfway through at 10 out of 20, and when it crosses this mark, that must be the 15, where things get really bad. So we probably don't want to be doing too much psychery stuff, because we don't want to cross over and do really bad things. She could melee strike, but that seems not terribly useful. Okay, Lightning Arc chains up to 4 targets within a 3-cell radius, dealing Psyker's staff power level times Psi rating, plus Psyker's willpower bonus damage to each, which in this case is not telling me the numbers. Spends all movement and can no longer use attacking abilities on current turn. And that'll cause 3 Veil degradation. But could I hit? Yes, I can hit all of them. Which doesn't quite kill the Psyker, but it would kill the others, it looks like. Interesting. So it looks like we can accidentally hit Abelard. We'll need to be careful of that. Well, I think starting out we will use... Let's see, how many AP is this? 2 AP. So if we use 1 AP for analyze enemies on the Psyker, that will increase her damage. Let's see if that's true, and it does. 18 damage now. We will use forewarning on Abelard.
Will do.
Help him survive longer. And then we will use lightning to take out all of these guys. And I think that was an excellent turn for her. Hologram. You can use the hologram to gauge the effectiveness of your intended actions in combat before taking them. Click left mouse button on a single cell on the battlefield to place the character's hologram there. Select an ability or single shot attack to see the expected outcome. The action will be displayed as if you used from the hologram's location to let you assess whether you have picked an effective position for the action you are planning to take. The hologram also lets you see if the enemy will be within your line of sight after you move to the selected cell. That is a super useful option. Click the left mouse button again to confirm your choice and execute the selected action. Okay. So I could potentially move to a point where I want to be able to attack. Because if I went here and then tried to attack, shows 65% chance to hit, doing 5 to 7 damage. Versus if I just stood here where I am and attacked, it's not showing a percent, which I assume means we can't actually reach him from here. Although the damage is flickering. We could also attempt to just use the warp to kill him. So it's not flickering, so does that mean I can't actually spot him from here? Yeah, there we go. So that would kill him. Veil degradation, still fine-ish. Not really. That would bring us to 15. 15 is the line where it gets problematic, but I don't know if 15 necessarily is problematic itself, or if we cross it, it becomes a problem. Because it'll drop by 1 back down to 14 after Abelard's turn. Maybe we hold off just to be on the safe side. So if we shoot him 65%,
I shall not fear. Opposing me was your
and then we can use run and gun. Use run and gun.
I don't have time for this.
There we go. To get to here. Then we could take a second shot. 35% is terrible. Or gotta make sure I'm not accidentally hitting Abelard, because as it shows, we have a chance of friendly fire. So this will take 4 shots, each with a 30% chance to hit. And there's no way for us to hit both of them from where we're standing. We'll try it. We haven't done burst fire yet.
Suits my purpose.
Or was that 30% chance for any of our shots to hit? Because clearly all of them missed. And missing 4 shots at 30% isn't super likely. But oh well. Good parry. Sadly, he can't charge. He's too close, so we'll only be able to attack one of them.
Reduced to dust. Victory is
Brace for impact. And then, I guess, just move forward to here. Or did that use all of your movement? Somehow he can't move, so...
I'm not interested.
Yeah, no way for me to get over there, sadly. It's fine. That worked for me. Vespiadas. The creature in the chair appears as if it... The creature in the chair appears as if it has become one with its throne. You see pink parchment-like skin stretched between the seat and the limbs that have too many joints for a normal human being. The navigator is breathing heavily, the air whistling as it exits through the 2 dark gill-like slits on its cheeks. The creature's eyes are shut, the 2 ordinary eyes as well as the 3rd one that sits in the center of its forehead. I think usually they're basically normal people, except for the third eye. So the extra joints and gills and whatnot feels like that's something, an unusual mutation. I would think, but I'm not an expert.
I believe Master Vespiadas still lives.
Well, the servants are dead, but the chamber, thank the Emperor, is still sealed from the warp. Well, we have a chance of leaving this place alive.
Abelard flinches at the sight of the stretched skin and the dark marks on the face of the creature. Give Abelard a pointed look, address Adira what is wrong with him, approach or address the navigator. Hey, are you alive? We'll give Abelard a pointed look first. Oh, okay. We are deciding who interacts with the navigator. Abelard clears his throat. Master Vespiadas.
Your time is short.
The navigator stirs, barely able to lift his head and half open his normal eyes. A dark drop rolls from under the closed lid of the third eye and down his face, leaving behind a black trail. The voice is coming from the Vox grill at the base of the bizarre chair. It is unclear how the navigator is able to produce human speech. Okay, apparently this isn't just the warp currently is messing with him. If he needs to use a Vox built into the chair to talk, he's apparently always been a little weird, a little mutated. Our time is short to do what? Are you alright? You are in need of help. We have to get you out of that chair. Probably not. I think he needs to stay in that chair in order to do his navigating duty. Our time is short to do what?
Fall to your knees, mortals, and behold the final dawn.
Suddenly the navigator's body starts thrashing in place. It lurches forward, then falls back onto the seat, then thrusts forward again as its bones crack and its skin tears open. However, the fusion between the body and the chair appears to be stronger than these wild impetuouses. The mutant remains seated, but leans as far forward as he can. His layered raiment slowly turning crimson, the gill slits burst open, forming two hideous screaming mouth-like pits.
It came from beyond. His body is not his.
Adira shrieks in terror, so he is possessed. Adira's scream is echoed by the silent cries in your head. The unseen creature triumphs at the sight of the navigator succumbing to the paroxysms of corruption.
Its march thunders under the burden of hopes. Unseal your hearts, and I will flood your souls with myriads of words and meanings, each one a portent of salvation within me.
The navigator continues to convulse violently in his seat, shrieking and cackling, but then his fit stops abruptly. His face is drenched in black and crimson. The dark ooze from under his third eyelid has turned from a trickle into a stream mixed with the blood coming out of his nose, and there is purplish swelling around the eye.
Run. Flee from this place while I still have the strength. I can contain the intrusion, but not for long. We must begin the translation. Leave the warp. But it can't be done without the Master Helmsman's help.
The words come out of the Vox as a labored rattle. So he's not fully gone to the warp yet. He's dealing with a warp intrusion, but there's still enough of him there that he thinks he can get us back into real space. Who torments you? I want to help you. Tell me how. I cannot bear to see this agony any longer. I would rather put an end to it. Or address Abelard. The navigator is still alive, but barely so. What do we do now? Who torments you?
The Edge. Kneel before the ascent of a new champion. When the rite is complete, the shell will burst, and thousands of Moors will accept the sacrifice offered to the edge of daybreak by the bringer of twilight, the one marked by the will of the gods.
The navigator starts thrashing about once more, his gill mouths bursting with crazed laughter. Is the new champion that this chaos entity talking about Voldvir? I don't know. Edge of Daybreak, maybe that is a specific demon that's sort of orchestrating this thing. Not one of the demon gods, of course. At least I don't think so. Each word rings through your head like the tolling of a bell, as if countless voices have joined it, screaming into your ears. For a moment you lose your bearings. This unholy chorus must be trying to confound you with sounds not meant for this world. Address your companions, what is that supposed to mean? I think that is a fine question.
A right. A sacrifice offered. Oh. My heart tells me that Kunrad was not deterred by his defeat in the warrant chamber.
No, he said there were other options to get what he wanted.
What? Kunrad betrayed Lady Theodora? Hmm. But how is that? How? He was as loyal as a dog. And I didn't hear a thing, I swear.
Adira clutches her head. We don't know what he has done. A sacrifice doesn't sound good. But the level of betrayal we don't yet know, just that he was trying to get to the warrant. And we assume he's still failing.
The footfalls of the bringer of twilight are veiled by the will of his masters. Tear out your eyes. She who is to become the champion's servant, for you need them no longer.
The navigator, or rather the thing that is so determined to seize his body, erupts into mocking laughter. Tear out your eyes, she who is to become the champion's servant. I'm guessing he's referring to Adira, telling Adira to tear out her eyes because she's the only she nearby. Does that mean he's referring to us as the champion? Unclear. I want to help you. Tell me how. I'm assuming we're talking to the navigator and not the navigator's possessing entity.
The sanctum will be sealed. I will hold it off. Hold on. And wait for the signal from the master helmsman. Then I will commence the translation. So, run. Run.
The navigator takes a ragged breath. Yeah, so the navigator is still with us. I'm not going to use this one. I'd rather put an end to it. That sounds like we're going to attack the navigator, and we definitely need the navigator still alive. So, address Abelard. The navigator is still alive, but barely so. What do we do now?
The ship can only begin the translation with the assistance of the master helmsman, if he is still alive. It is worth a try. We must get to the bridge, but we will need support. Our only option is to fight our way to the officer's deck and join forces with Edelthrad and his people. I believe we will also find Lady Theodora there. She must have heard the call to arms that the servo skull relayed to us earlier.
The seneschal gazes at the figure in the chair.
Vespiadas, good luck. And thank you.
Adira reaches her hand out toward the navigator, but pulls it back at the last moment. Yeah, Vespiadas must know that he's already dead. He's not going to survive this, but he's still willing to do whatever it takes to hold on long enough to rescue the rest of us, which says a lot about him. Like, good dude, apparently. The navigator does not give her a response. Black tears mixed with blood are streaming from under the closed eyelid, and the vox at the base of the chair is bellowing out static interspersed with distant echoes of otherworldly laughter. The navigator appears dead. Only the slight movement of his chest and the twitching of his eyelids let you know that he is still clinging to life. Let's see. Ooh, a psychic staff. Let's grab that, potentially for ourselves. Scrappy autogun is worse than what we have, so we'll move that over. And the axe, compared to Abelard, slightly better armor penetration. It gives bleeding. but worse damage. I think we'll keep the chainsword. And then for ourselves, let's grab the psychic staff. So, no, I want you to select. Hello? There we go. What does this do for me? 4 to 8 damage and allows us to use lightning arc. We'll keep our gun ready, but having that as an option is good. Yeah. Also gives us plus to our willpower, so if we are using a psychic ability, we should probably switch to that weapon instead. In combat, a character may need to use different kinds of weapons, which can be prepared in advance. Open your inventory to prepare different weapon sets. To switch to a different weapon set in combat, press X. Yes, I am aware. Anything else of note in here? Yes, we've got some more people to loot. Send all of that to cargo, and then head back, and hopefully we can find our way to the helmsman easily enough. Okay, that's still sealed. So do we just go back
None shall stand in my way.
the way we came? Presumably to the officer's deck.